Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I'm Jason Orgill, the Chief Technology Officer at eAssist Dental Solutions, and we're really glad to have you with us today, wherever you may be dialing from, or if you're listening to this on demand. The webinar's title is AI and Dental Billing, Separating Promise from Hype. So I'm excited to chat with you about two topics that are very interesting to me, so I hope that you enjoy the webinar. Here's what we'd like to cover today. Just provide a little bit of context around AI and also just introduce myself a bit. What are some of the current AI applications? What are the overhyped promises that are out there? Why and when do we need human expertise in the loop? And how you can evaluate some of your options and how you can predict the future of some of these solutions that are on the market today. And then we'll wrap up and invite you to ask any questions and send them our way. So just a bit about myself. I've got technology roots. I graduated in electrical engineering many moons ago. I started my career as a security consultant at Motorola, which is just a nice way of saying certified ethical hacker. And so I had the opportunity to break into networks and see where all the weak spots were. And that really helped me understand how to best defend against the threats that are out there today. And it's a difficult landscape we've faced in the dental industry, even in just the past year or so, some fairly major breaches, and many of you are aware of those. And I know that all of you care about protecting patient data. That's something we deeply care about here at eAssist and that we have a great focus on. I then went on to get an MBA at Harvard Business School and stayed on a little bit longer with Clayton Christensen in his think tank, the Forum for Growth and Innovation, where we worked with his theories about disruption and jobs to be done. And that was a really formative experience for me that helped me merge technology into business strategy. I'm hoping that some of those insights might come through here today as we talk about how you can merge technology with your practices and so forth. I co-founded an internet service provider company that's still alive and well in Boston, and then went on to run product management at a network security company that made firewalls and network access control solutions and so forth. I've got an MIT data science and machine learning certification, and I've been with eAssist for the last 5 years as their chief technology officer. So I'm, as you can tell from my background, I don't have a background in dental other than eAssist for the last 5 years. I've learned a lot, and I'm excited to share with you what I know about technology, and hopefully it can be helpful to you. Just a real quick slide on what eAssist is. We are a dental billing solutions company. We provide insurance billing services, patient billing, eligibility and insurance verification services, and many others. Our core purpose is to deliver peace of mind to dentists. And we've also got several affiliate companies listed below, and we invite you to learn more about them also. So here's just a bit about the context, the water that we're all swimming in here today, independent of AI. A recent survey by the American Dental Association Health Policy Institute asked this question: what are the top 3 challenges facing your practice? 62.2% cited staffing shortages, recruitment, or retention. 57.6% low insurance reimbursement and denials, and 45.7% increasing overhead costs. And you've seen the market respond to that. There's a lot of AI companies out there that are talking about all the many great things they do with AI and how they can help you, and they want to charge you $450 a month or somewhere in that range because that's what makes the most sense for the investors. And then all of a sudden you have a lot of different companies that you can pay that monthly amount to. So we're going to talk about not naming any specific companies, of course, today, but just general things that you'll be seeing in the marketplace, and some tools that will help you to evaluate them as well. So can AI save the day? Well, it depends. We're going to talk more about it. Can it save the day from these rising costs, staffing shortages, and so forth? And thanks to our AI-generated artwork there. This quote, just taking a big step back to answer that question, this quote here by Herbert A. Simon, he was a Nobel laureate, actually. And he said that machines will be capable within 20 years of doing any work a man can do. That was December 20th, 1965. So we've come a long way since then with technology, but hand in hand with technology advancements are also hype statements and things like that that may not completely come to pass as we predict. Don't get me wrong, I love all the advancements that we continue to see. We've had some major breakthroughs in the past few years in terms of the usability of AI and the democratization of AI. Many of you on the call here have probably used ChatGPT, Gemini, and other large language models, they call them, and interacted with them and started to get a taste for the potential of AI. So, what is AI? Well, it's a technology that mimics human thinking. It's not actually thinking. It's really just a bunch of a string of numbers and probabilities and um, that are all strung together that then generate an output. And in most cases, that's how it works. And but in any case, it mimics human thinking and analyzing data, recognizing patterns, making decisions to help automate tasks, save time, and hopefully improve patient care. So in dentistry, AI can help you with things like reading x-rays, predicting insurance coverage. That's something that we do here at eAssist. Automating billing or spotting trends in treatment plans. Again, that last part, something we do here internally. And where does this AI technology all fit? I tried to put on a map here. On the y-axis, you have the degree that a certain AI technology is automated and can automate things. And on the x-axis, complexity. So at the very base level, and people 10 years ago were calling this AI, but they would have software, expert systems that were basically programming in the different options that you should choose if something happened. I mean, that's just the very basics of what a computer program is. But of course, because it seemed and sounded intelligent, well, people would even back then throw the term AI on it. And so even though expert systems technically aren't artificial intelligence, it's still kind of grouped into that set of technologies, and because that's how it appears to the end user. Fair enough. You may have heard of natural language processing, or NLP, but that allows for speech recognition and other things like that, interpreting text from documents and understanding things at that level. Again, not a whole lot of automation there. It's just converting text into things that are under. You're getting a bit more complex as you move along the x-axis there. Then there's deep learning, neural networks, and things like that. You start to see the X-ray image technology where you can look at an image and then it can identify things after it's been through a certain degree of training. And then ultimately, the large language models, which take these large, huge, sets of text and data, a lot from the World Wide Web, Wikipedia, other big sites, and it attempts to construct a model that you can then infer things, where you can ask it a question and then it's able to produce an output. And it does that, one word at a time, not as a gimmick to say, oh, look, you're waiting for the next word. It's actually calculating, like I said earlier, through a lot of probability math, what that next word should be, and that even the part of the word, they call them tokens. So that's what happens as we kind of move along the complexity spectrum, is we're seeing that there's more and more things that you can apply the AI to until you get to this LLM, the GPT models here, which is just a generative pre-transform, where you're able to ask it any question about anything. And if it had enough modeling and enough data, they should be able to answer with a pretty good degree of accuracy, an answer for you. You'll notice sometimes when using AI that there can be hallucinations, like when we're using ChatGPT or something. Some of the more recent versions of ChatGPT will go out and fetch something from the internet just to confirm data, and that's been a helpful addition, because the model will, again, it's based it doesn't store all of this massive text data that it got from the internet. It modeled its model after that. And so when it responds, it's responding according to the probabilities and the weights that are in that model. So it is possible to have hallucinations if you don't augment it with some other material. So I would just caution you as you're, particularly as you're looking for advice that might help your patients or other uses of ChatGPT, just to fact check things, check the sources. Oftentimes now in these tools, they'll have links to the sources. So I would encourage you to click on those and just double check, make sure everything lines up, and be mindful of hallucinations. But it's all that said, it's still an amazing technology, and it continues to improve by the day. So it's exciting. On the top part of this graph, you have things like robotic process automation. You may notice this icon here. If you were using Windows 3.1 many years ago, there was a macro recorder, and that's basically what we're talking about here. The technology never died, but the problem that it has been plagued with for the last 30 plus years is that as software changes, as the processes need to change and get updated, these recordings would break. And so it requires some maintenance, and it's traditionally not done a great job at handling very complex tasks. It's done a great job at handling very repetitive tasks with minimal degrees of complexity, where you can predict, okay, well, what are the different paths this thing could go down if it sees this or if it sees that? And you can only do that so many times before the whole thing just takes too much time to program in and doesn't make any sense. Now, because of what we talked about a minute ago and going right on this spectrum with the neural networks and these large language models and AI, there will be a convergence, and there's already some of this today, but the technology is just really not ready for prime time, in my opinion, where you have something called agentic AI or AI agents. And what this does, it tries to take the best of both worlds, where you have the ability to automate processes and the ability to handle complexity. So if you encounter something new that you hadn't encountered before, can you leverage some of these large language model tools to help navigate that and to adjust in real time what the agent should do? So this allows you to give more abstract directives. Whereas over here, you say you need to click on this and then this, or you need to grab this link from this website and download this file. Very specific, very direct, very repeatable things. Whereas here, you might be able to say things more generally, like go download my EOBs for the day from all of my insurance carriers. Then we'd need to figure out, okay, well, what insurance carriers are you caring about? Well, let's see. Why don't we open up your practice management system and do a scan here? Okay, well, that means we need to go to these websites. All right, well, let's write a script to do that. And so as this technology improves and gets ready for prime time, I suspect over the next 5 years, it will be in a position to handle more abstract directives that don't require the high degree of programming that you see over here. It's not available today. Sorry to say. There's a lot of talk about it, a lot of hype. It's just not there yet. So I wouldn't use anything that that says that it's this, unless you take a really, really hard look at it and ask to learn about what's been done in the past, if anyone used this successfully, and get specific. Okay, so in talking about where this fits in the world that I spend a lot of time in, and in your world as well, you may have noticed that when submitting insurance claims, there's a good deal of them that are fairly straightforward. They're processed, they're paid each month, and so forth. But then you also have some that are less straightforward, that maybe have been denied. Maybe there's an appeal that needs to be written, or other things, and it's not getting paid. So we've got a clock representing that. And then another month goes by, and you kind of have these things that start to add up, where, again, the majority of your claims that you're submitting are getting paid, but then you've got this pile up over here. And once it gets to a certain point, you call the fire department. This is where eAssist, a lot of times we first meet our clients, as they've kind of been a disaster zone here. And it's not necessarily due to any negligence on their part. you've got a limited number of staff, and you need them focused on the patient experience. So, these things just kind of get piled up, and then you end up having to write them off, and that's just how things go. But anyway, that's where we typically come into play. And so we're going to talk about how AI can help in this process and where it really can't help in the process yet as of 2025. So if we were to put on the map here the complex claims, they'd fall somewhere over in this area. So they're very complex, but there's no agent-based model that can really service those. And so you may have technologies out there that attempt to provide AI and automate that blue segment that we saw. But that wasn't really having much of a problem. Like, that was really getting out the door mostly anyway without AI. The problem came in the pileup of these. And because the technology with AI isn't quite to the point where it can just automatically do these for you, it is at the point where it can help people do these for you better. So it can help enable your office staff. It helps our staff. We have invested millions of dollars in AI technology over the past few years since I've been here to help our teams have the best AI available to them. And so it can help people. It's a great augmentation tool to people, but you need to have the people in the loop. You need to have the people doing that check, make sure there aren't those hallucinations. That expertise needs to be there. But it can help fill in the gaps. There's a distribution of experience. I mean, we only take dental billers that have many years of experience, but even then you get a distribution curve. Some may be experts at one thing over another. So we use AI to try to combine that expertise all into one place and put everybody on the same playing field. So AI absolutely is a helpful tool to raise the bar and raise the quality level, to reduce the payment velocity on claims. That's something we track. I think I have a slide on this coming up actually. But it can help you get paid faster if you use AI. Now I will, and here's the payment velocity thing. Before I get into that, you can't just go into ChatGPT and start typing in patient health information. There are possibly arrangements and agreements you can have with ChatGPT depending on the plan you buy that protect patient data, but you can't just go into the free version and start asking questions. There's no, as far as I know, as of today, there's no guaranteed protection of that data, and no BAA agreement in place for that. So there are many ways to get access to the tools that ChatGPT has, but you have to do it typically through infrastructure players on the back end. So whether it's through AWS or Microsoft Azure or things like that, you can access these tools. You can have the appropriate agreements in place to make sure that the data is secure. But that's just one thing. If you're going to be asking questions in ChatGPT, keep the patient data out, and so forth. As I mentioned, as you're learning about what codes to submit in certain complex scenarios, it actually has an immediate impact on the what we measure as the time to first payment on a claim. Sometimes, believe it or not, there's some claims that they're paid in multiple payments, and so we track the time to first payment, and we compare our Copilot tool, which has all these suggestions that fly up in front of our workers' faces that say, hey, for this, you need to do this, and these codes, you need to have this in the narrative, and so forth. And we compare that with just another PMS system where you didn't have Copilot. And, we see a 40% improvement over time to payment. Now, I'm not trying to advertise Copilot. We don't sell Copilot. I'm just telling you about the potential of AI. This is an internal tool that we use so that we can help offices get paid faster. And AI tools can help you see real results. That's the point of this slide here. Okay. So just, and I think I did mention this before, but you'll see on the market today, there are tools for X-ray analysis. And I've heard some positive things from dentists about that who have adopted it, but I've also heard there are some that are not ready to adopt it yet. And that's what is to be expected with any technology. And we'll talk about the adoption curve later and where you might fit on that adoption curve. This is just a screenshot of one of our internal tools. We, eAssist owns Practice Booster. Dr. Charles Blair's Practice Booster Coding with Confidence is a book that many of you may have in your office today. And so what we've done is we've taken the whole book, and this is a lookup tool, so they can just look up things on the book, but we've also embedded it into our AI engine as well. And so now if one of our success consultants needs to write a narrative or an appeal or check their codes, we're not just relying on that large language model backend that I talked to you about earlier. We're also pulling from the real on the ground experience of Coding with Confidence Practice Booster and plugging it in. And they call that retrieval augmented generation. So you're not just relying on the model, it's the model plus a data set. And so now our success consultants can get the best of both worlds, where they're able to ask a question in plain English and then get intelligent responses from both the model, which kind of structures the format of the response, plus the knowledge from that Practice Booster thing as well. There's just some screenshots about that, and it's generating a narrative here. Let's talk about some of the overhyped promises. Okay, so set it and forget it, end-to-end automation and claim adjudication. It's not there yet. Maybe in 5 years, who knows? But it's not there yet. So I'd be very wary of anyone claiming that exists. AI replacing human coders. Again, maybe on the easy stuff, not so much on the hard stuff. And unfortunately, it's the hard stuff that causes the pileup. And that's what this generic chat bots for complex billing, it's not there yet. Self-learning models without oversight. No, we're not there yet. Maybe someday. And I look forward to it, but we're not there yet. Why you need a human, other than the hallucination check that I alluded to earlier. You want to be able to interpret the payer exceptions and modifiers and understanding the nuances available. It's a very complicated process. I mean, as we've been developing our internal Copilot software, there are a lot of tools that our SCs need. That's why it's been millions of dollars of investment. Is these success consultants are like claim surgeons, and they need to be able to have very advanced tools to know what to put into it, from what part of the patient history and exactly what codes to use and so forth. Crafting persuasive appeals. Again, there's some generative tools today, ChatGPT, that you can tell it to be super persuasive, and those things can help, but you need a human in there to review it and make sure you're not, saying something bad. And of course, then once you generate it, you need to send it and do all that legwork as well. So I believe that today in 2025, combining the human with the machine is your winning combination. You take an expert, you have the AI help bridge any gaps that even the expert may have, and it helps save them time as well as they're doing it, whether it's someone on your own staff or someone on our staff. AI can help both. And so, and as time goes on, you'll see that not only will the coders be able to help in auditing AI suggestions, but you can trade in the AI suggestions based on what the coders are doing, and that's always fun to do. What you'll see over time is a natural progression in the level of the role that technology plays in a given task, and dental RCM is no exception. But here's the thing to keep in mind. There is a minimum quality standard that needs to be adhered to in order for the job to actually get done. If someone comes at you with an amazing, fancy, pretty AI solution, you need to understand, is this going to get the job done? Or does the person still need to get the job done and it's going to help the person? And just understanding exactly what that solution is that is being delivered is doing. And it may turn out that it's not saving you any time. Maybe it only helps in accuracy. Maybe it's the reverse, which is bad. It saves you time, but then things are more or they're less accurate. And that's not what you want. That doesn't meet the minimum quality standard. But that's just a way to think about how technology changes over time. So this was really the things that map onto the maps here. The things that fit into the high volume and low complexity, those are ideal for automation. And a lot of the practice management systems today are already trying to do that. And I applaud them for doing that. That's great. It's going to save everyone time. And that's what's going to keep things competitive in that market. High complexity and low volume, keep that human led. And in many sense, it doesn't make a lot of sense for them, the PMS vendors, to invest time in this if there's low volume. It may be low impact. Maybe they'll get around to it eventually. Time will tell. If there's any high risk things, denials, big ticket items, AI is good for alerting, and then you have a human reviewing that and seeing what can be done. Of course, data entry and validation can be automatable, but here's the other big lie that comes up. I hate to say it in the industry is you'll see people say that they integrate with all practice management systems. Well, that may exist for some things like scheduling and a few other things, but that's hard to come by. If to have the full automation, the full input and output that a human has through just a software tool, I would really ask some hard questions about, okay, what specifically can you integrate with? What are the things you can update and write back into my practice management system? Those are the tough questions you need to ask a vendor that's claiming they can integrate in with your practice management system, and ask, okay, what is it that we still need the human to do where there is a gap in the integration? So I would encourage you to ask those types of questions when you're looking at different AI solutions. So I just want to talk a bit about eAssist technology journey into AI. It started with James Anderson, our co-founder. He's a practicing dentist today. And when he started eAssist, he had an issue he was trying to solve. He had lost his dental biller and he needed someone to come into his office and do the dental billing. And there wasn't anyone around that he could hire in his geography. So he cobbled together some technology to allow them to remote in. And he discovered that many of his dentist friends and others had this same issue. And so that's how eAssist began. Was it allowed us to take really qualified dental billers from all over the United States and have them remote into dental offices to do their billing. It's something they had hands-on experience with in a dental office, so remoting in was not really a difficult step. Then, in order to scale that, as eAssist was growing, there was an internal piece of software called the Hub that helped us grow and scale. Since that time, and I joined in 2020, we've developed some internal VoIP technology with office masking and things like that allow us to call patients and insurance carriers representing the office as they'd like us to. There's as I mentioned earlier, we've got our internal AI tool, Copilot. It helps us submit claims and work on the aging of claims and posting claims. And in 2025, I think I showed some screenshots of how we're using the retrieval augmented large language models helping our billers today. And you can kind of see how our technology journey has been on a sustaining path. You'll hear the word disruptive often paired with AI, but AI is not inherently a disruptive technology. It depends on how it's deployed in the market. So for us, it helps sustain us. It sustains our current business model. But there are other business models where you say, okay, we believe that software ought to do everything. And so in that regard, AI is disruptive to us because we believe, well, you need software plus people. If you just have software, that's not enough, but someday that could be enough. And that's the path that it's on. It may be very far out there, but that is what it is. And we're always at eAssist trying to think about, okay, how do we reinvent ourselves so we can continue to add value when that day comes? But right now we're in a great spot to deliver a lot of value. I believe that by combining the best of both worlds, technology and people. This last piece here is developed by Jeffrey Moore, who wrote a book called Crossing the Chasm. And he talks about how when you adopt technology or where there's a new technology on the market, you fall into one of these camps. You could be an innovator, early adopter, early majority, late majority, or a laggard. And the thing to note here is that there is a gap in adoption between the early adopters and the early majority. This gap can be where technology dies. And so some of you may always need to have the latest and greatest running in your dental office, and you're just over here. You're willing to try new things. If it doesn't work, you throw it out, you try something else that's new, and you always want to be on the cutting edge. That's fine. And I think I'm not suggesting everybody do that. I'm not suggesting everyone be a laggard either. It's just really about your own personal philosophy and where do you want to sit. You could argue that it's safer to play in the early majority to see what has made it across the chasm and what has kind of died so that you don't waste your time. But that may just not fit with your model and your personality either. So I think just understanding yourself, where you fit, is important in the grand scheme of things. So again, just what to consider in evaluating AI tools. The security of patient data is certainly number one. We care about our patients, your patients, and their data needs to be kept safe. Then there's the quality of the output. Doesn't do you any good to do a job faster if it doesn't get done or doesn't get done right. So that's the second thing. Return on investment. Like I said earlier, a lot of these solutions cost money. So you have to kind of weigh, well, how much time is it saving? How much time is it allowing my staff to now put toward the patient experience, because now it's not messing around with all this other stuff, because now it's able to use a more streamlined software. Or you could apply the same thing, and with the dental billing company coming in as well, you could apply the same logic. Is there a return on my investment here? Then keep in mind, is this solution going to be around forever or not? Is it just going to die off? Should I wait and see? And in that regard, determining where your place is on the adoption curve can help you make that decision. So that's all for today. Really grateful that you signed in to hear this presentation. We would love to hear any questions or ideas or comments that you have. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any technical questions for me, you can send them here this way to marketing@eassist.me, and they can let me know, and we can get in touch as well. So thanks so much for being here, and we wish you the best with your patients and your practices. Have a great day.